Today we welcome an artist who in some ways has lived several different lives. He was a teenager who signed a huge record deal and traveled the world. He was then a cancer patient, and now he's married and has become a dad most recently. One thing has remained constant, and that's his great music. We'll talk to him about many subjects, including living without running water, Broadway, and even flying in a time machine. But first, let's hear a song from Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, live from Studio M.
I took the train home, facing backwards. Another hopeless chase, Echo Park, Indian summer. I wrote a new song about your new life, like steps I retrace, black letters in your little black notebook. Yeah, flashbacks get me close, I'm almost there. Headlight in the driveway, you stand in the window waiting. The stars are out tonight, 1,000,000 fires burning out there on the high tide. You dance with your headphones on and I could watch you all night long, dancing to someone else's song. Dancing to someone else's song. Dancing to someone else's black jacket, a blue motorbike, past the mission in the moonlight, teenagers in the alley kissing. Smell the gas burn, saw your street sign. I'm doing 80 and I'm 45, throwing shadows you could hear if you listen. Yeah, flashbacks get me close, I'm almost there. Headlight in the driveway, you stand in the window waiting. The stars are out tonight, 1,000,000 fires burning out there on the high tide. You dance with your headphones on and I could watch you all night long, dancing to someone else's song. Dancing to someone else's song. Dancing to someone else's. Whoa, whoa, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh. Flashbacks get me close, but I'm staring at someone else's. Headlights in your driveway, you stand in the window waiting. The stars are out tonight, 1,000,000 fires burning. Meet me on the high tide. You'll dance with your headphones on, so I watch you all night long, dancing to someone else's song. Dancing to someone else's song. Oh, dancing to someone else's song. Someone else's song. Someone else's song. Someone else's, someone else's, someone else's song.
It's Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, and we'll chat with him next here at 105.5 Triple M. Commercial? We're back live from Studio M on 105.5 Triple M. Joining us today, Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. And we got to start off with that name. I mean, you had something corporate, you had Jack's Mannequin. Why don't you just be Andrew McMahon? Yeah?
I'm not the best at naming myself. Yeah, it's interesting. There are these things that happen when you dive into a project and into a new project especially, and you start these things out, and I think initially there was some thought, okay, maybe it'll just be Andrew McMahon, you know, and I'm a very project-driven person, as you can tell. I bounce from thing to thing and have historically done that for a number of years now. And when I started the whole process of winding down Jack's Mannequin, which was my last band, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen next. I parted ways with a lot of different, very important parts of my life up to then. There were members of my band moved on. I moved on from my management company. I left my label. I sort of ended up in this space where it was like, all of a sudden, a lot of things that had been done for me, I was now doing myself. I was taking on, taking on this whole new life and figuring out what I wanted to do. And that felt very much like the wilderness to me. And one of the first sort of acts of, gaining my world back was jumping into social media for the first time. I'd always had everybody at the label do it for me because I was terrified of it. I started out before like that was a thing that you did, and so I always avoided it. And one of the first things I did was I took over my Instagram account, and I named it AM in the Wilderness, and it followed me, like the Instagram thing just followed me through the whole process of unfolding this thing, and I wanted to bring it into the fold for the name of the record.
Yeah, and working on this record, you kind of sort of went in the wilderness. Is it true you went to a place with no running water that you would write songs, or is that exaggerated?
There was a hose in the back.
Okay.
There was a hose in the back, but for all intents and purposes, I had like a compost toilet off in the woods somewhere, and that was or just pee out the door of the cabin kind of vibe. And yeah, it was a great vibe. Yeah, it was a great vibe. No, it really was. Let me be clear. I was 25 minutes from downtown Los Angeles too, so there's this great old hippie holdout outside of LA called Topanga Canyon, where it's kind of between like the valley and Malibu, and it's still very much. I think like it was in the 70s, and I found this cool little cabin, and it's where I hatched. I didn't write most of the record. I wrote a few songs that became the record, and I think more than anything, I developed the themes of the record there. It was a moment where after a couple of years off from Jack's, I decided let's dive in, and I brought this keyboard up over the hiked it up onto the hill, and I would sit in the room up there and write for 8-12 hours a day, and kind of reconnected to the piano and to what it would take to make a new record.
So you didn't bring the whole point was you didn't bring your wife, right? It was solo time.
It wasn't the whole point. No, we found out that she was pregnant probably a month or two prior to this, I want to say, and it was. It was
the morning sickness. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah. Well, no, not at all. It was very much a planned thing, but we knew that this was going to be what our year was about. It was going to be about, about getting her, through her pregnancy healthy, and about creating a piece of music that sort of charted that, and then have me home in time to be there when the baby came. And so we sort of were very compartmentalized about our time. I would spend 3 or 4 days a week in the cabin and have my phone off, and I would work, and then I would come home and I would shut that part of my brain down as best I could, and do the doctor's appointments and the classes and everything that you did. And it ended up being a really great lesson about just focus, and what's important and priorities. And it was like, these are my two worlds. It's my music, and it's my wife, and getting this baby into the world healthy.
So when you said you would work 8 to 12 hours writing music, wouldn't you kind of go crazy a little? Is that how you always wrote music? Like, now it's time to sit down and write music, or did it used to come in a different way?
It's different. I think that's the beauty of what this thing is it's not a set sort of regiment for me. It's really about inspiration, and so, but you also have to be in the position to channel inspiration too. And I think, especially with how tricky it can be in the world, like just how I'm like everybody else. My phone's attached to my hip, and I'm wired in all the time, and sort of be in a space where you could just sit in that and be available to it. And I would wander down the hill and go get a glass of wine or have some lunch or do it, or do the thing, or I'd have some people come up and but it was really about doing the work and playing and being there when lightning would strike, should that happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's hear another song. Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness, live from Studio One.
I don't know what I'm going to play. All right, I'm gonna do, well, now we're talking about the canyon. I'll do the song, See Her on the Weekend. Let's see how this goes. Up around town with a headache kicking, guess I fell asleep with a cigarette. My girl's back home with the morning sick, got a baby on the way, not here yet and I'm alright. I think we're good, yeah, I drink more than the doctor say I should. I've been a little hard to reach, but my girl is at the beach and I'll see her on the weekend. I'll see her on the weekend. I'll see her on the weekend. I'll see her at the end of the week. If Friday comes, lately I'm sleeping until the sun fills up my rented room. I pack my things, I get my car started. Yeah, I've been gone, but I'll be home real soon. Cell phone's dead and she's calling. Message box is full. Up around town with a headache kicking, guess I fell asleep with a cigarette. My girl's back home with the morning sick, got a baby on the way, not here yet and I'm alright. I think we're good, yeah, I drink more than the doctor say I should. I've been a little hard to reach, but my girl is at the beach and I see her on the weekend. I'll see her on the weekend. I'll see her on the weekend. I'll see her at the end of the week. Friday comes, she's calling. Message box is full. Up around town with a headache kicking, guess I fell asleep with a cigarette. My girl's back home with the morning sick, got a baby on the way, not here yet and I'm alright. I think we're good, yeah, I drink a little more than the doctor say I should. I've been a little hard to reach, but I know you're at the beach and I'll see you on the weekend. I'll see you on the weekend. I'll see you on the weekend. I'll see you at the end of the week. I'll see you on the weekend. I'll see you on the weekend. I'll see you at the end of the week.
McMahon in the Wilderness on 105.5 Triple M. Now, your first record deal you got when you were like 18 or 19, right?
Yeah.
How did you not ruin yourself? Like,
I think I did, no.
I mean, that seems really, to get it that young and then start rolling, it seems like that could be super destructive.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was destructive. I mean, for me, it's all I had wanted since I was like 9 years old. I started playing music when I was a kid and loved music up until that point. We always had a piano in the house and I was always tinkering. And then when I was 9, I started writing songs and...
With no lessons, right? Or did you...
At first, no lessons, yeah. I had a buddy's dad was like in a bar band in Pasadena. I lived there for a year when I was going into, I guess, the 4th grade. And had gone through like a little bit of trauma. We lost my uncle that year, and that had a real profound effect on me. And and one of my first friends, his dad taught me how to play like, like a little whole lot of shaking going on, like that was it. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And so I just started moving those chords around the piano, and that was, and I started writing songs to that. I'd always written poems before then, and in a family I was the youngest of 5 kids. I was in a family of athletes, and they were all exceptional, and I was like the kid, like, if I went to swing the bat, it hurt my hands, and I was like, I quit, this is horrible. So I found my thing, and I would sit at the piano. I'd get home from school, and I'd sit at the piano until my parents made me go to bed, and through high school, like starting my sophomore year of high school, it was like, that was just what I did.
So you took it seriously. But then you feel like you get a big head once they,
Yeah, I was raised Irish Catholic, and I think we just carry guilt, and I think we feel humbled by our success and unworthy completely. So it was never a thing for me. I think I definitely had hard times in there, and I had things that where I would lose myself along the way, but it was never really like an ego thing, I wouldn't say for me, no.
Right, okay. And then, so things are rolling along, awesome. And then, at 22 or 23, you get cancer.
Yeah, that is true. I had gone through this big shift with something corporate. We decided to go on hiatus, and I made the Everything in Transit record, the first Jack's Mannequin record, and found out I was sick, basically right as we were about to launch that project. Which was, it was on a lot of levels, it was devastating, but it was also very, there was a thing about it that felt faded. There was something about it. I mean, in that moment, I was going really hard. I was working myself to the bone, and I was super inspired, but I was almost like, I was just on fire, like in one hand in a really positive way, and in another, it was like, something was going to happen, and I felt that. And when I found out I was sick, I felt that. And so you just redraw the map, and you just sit down and just try and work through it. It's hard.
So, but when we're younger, we think we're more indestructible. Did you think like, this is going to suck for a while, but I got it? Or at some point where you're like, I don't know, like, am I going to make it?
Yeah, I always thought that I was going to get through it. There was very few moments of doubt that I would survive it. I think there were. There were a couple really scary moments inside of it where you weren't sure what, and those things do have a really profound effect, and took a lot of years to totally work through. And you still work through them on a daily basis. Sure. I still work through them on a daily basis, but I felt pretty confident that I was going to get through it. It was just a matter of with how much damage, to the psyche.
So it didn't change your view. It seems like you had a pretty positive and realistic view beforehand. Some people like, I got sick and then it changed my life and I appreciate things more. It seems like you kind of were already doing that, maybe.
Yeah, I laugh at those people. No, I'm just kidding. I don't laugh. No, I have a lot. There are a lot of people who I mean, God bless the person who says that and feels that. It took me I'd say I'm there now. I'd say there's a part of me that now, like, seeing my daughter born and realizing that, through this crazy science that broke me down and built me back up, that's how she's here today. You know what I mean? We had to go through IVF and all these things. And I think that was the first time when I was like looking at her, walking her by myself, like I was like, wow, like this really tragic, wild thing that happened to me is why I'm looking at you. And that's the first moment I'd say that I was like, thank God for cancer, but you just, it's like everything. It's like you can choose to live in it and be pissed, or you can get through it. And I certainly was, without knowing it, pretty angry for a lot of years.
Sure.
And that's a lot of what this record is about, is kind of arriving at that moment finally where I was like, what, I'm not mad it happened, and now we gotta go forward and not be constantly in this other thing.
Okay, well, just hang out in it for one more second.
Yeah.
And the audience here, I think, is rabid fans, so they maybe already know the answer to this. But for the documentary, Dear Jack, narrated by Tommy Lee, and in the thing that I've seen, they're just like, yeah, his friend Tommy Lee. So, like, how are you friends with him? Or?
The 80s were crazy for me. I was the first 10-year-old on the crew bus with Motley. No, I was, we shared a manager. Plain and simple, it's not that sexy of a story in that respect. And, you know, Tommy went through the swag bin over at my manager's office one day. I was like, do you have any new artists or anything you think I should listen to? And he got a copy of the second Something Corporate record, an album called North. And he particularly fell in love with this song, Me and the Moon, off that record, which is my favorite song off that album by far.
And it was the soundtrack for his sex tape with Pam, wasn't it?
No, it predated that, actually.
Sorry.
Yeah, my demos when I was 10 was actually the soundtrack for the sex tape, which is really creepy. But but no, and he loved the song, and he was working on a record of collaborations at the time, and called me one day out of the blue and said, like, I love Me and the Moon. I'm writing this song that is for a friend of mine who's going through something really tough, and I feel like you're the right guy to help me finish it. And we just hit it off. I went to the studio, I cut and run, I left the studio that I was recording everything in transit at the time, and I ran over there, and we forged this really awesome friendship around music. He's just one of the biggest fans of music I've ever met, and a really, really special, warm human being, and I ended up writing 2 more songs with him for his record, and I was like, Tommy, I've been doing your thing for a while. Why don't you come over and play some drums on my record? Because we had just been cutting up loops and things like that to make everything in transit at that point. And he did. And he came out. He played with us. He narrated the documentary. He was there with me in the hospital. He was great. He was a really cool, really great friend.
Did he talk you into the tattoos, or you had that?
I had at least a handful of them before we met. Yeah.
All right, we're ready for another song. Andrew,
Sure.
Man in the Wilderness, live from Studio One.
I'll do the resolution then, since I'll dive back for one, since we're talking about all this heavy stuff. There's a lot that I don't know. There's a lot that I'm still learning. When I think I'm letting go, I find my body, it's still burning. And you hold me down, and you got me living in the past. Come on and pick me up. Somebody clear the wreckage from the blast. Yeah, I'm alive, but I don't need a witness to know that I survived. I'm not looking for forgiveness. Yeah, I just need light. I need light in the dark, 'cause I search for the resolution. Bars are finally closed, so I tried living in the moment, till the moment it just froze, and I felt sick and so alone. I could hear the sound of your voice still ringing in my ears. I'm going underground, but you'll find me anywhere I feel. Yeah, I'm alive, but I don't need a witness to know that I survived. I'm not looking for forgiveness. Yeah, I just need light. I need light in the dark, 'cause I search for the resolution. Light in the dark, 'cause I search for the resolution. It's a long road back from hell. Some stories I will never tell. Annie, I'm almost home, and you hold me down. Yeah, you hold me down. But I'm alive, and I don't need a witness to know that I survive. I'm not looking for forgiveness. Yeah, I'm alive, but I don't need a witness to know that I survive. I'm not looking for forgiveness. Yeah, I just need light. I need light in the dark, 'cause I search for the resolution. Light in the dark, 'cause I search for the resolution. Well, I need light. I need light.
between McMahon and the Luminous on 105.5 Triple M. One of my wife's favorite shows was Smash, which I don't know if it's over now. Is it officially dead?
It is dead.
Okay, but you were part of that, writing some of the music for it, right? And did they approach you? You approached them. You want to do a Broadway thing, or what? How did that happen?
It was this weird thing, you know, this wilderness portion of my life. I had my wife, a friend of my wife, happened to be the showrunner for Smash, and he was a fan of Something Corporate, Jack's Mannequin, and there was always this kind of like, we should meet up and hang out, maybe we'll work together one day. He was the showrunner for Gossip Girl, and he got moved over to Smash and called me one day and said like, look, I think I might have something for us to collaborate on, and I was like really excited, but it was very far-fetched that it was going to happen. It was like Steven Spielberg was the producer, it was all these Broadway guys, and I was like the pop dude that was going to have to run the gauntlet of all of these like heavyweights. And the first song I wrote for it was a song called Reach For Me, which actually ended up making it in the season. It was like I had to like throw my hat in the ring and write a song based on one of these scenes in the show, and I loved it. It was so much fun to just like write it from that space, you know, detach a little bit from myself and get in these other characters' heads, and somewhere in the midst of it, they accepted, you know, the first song, and then I wrote a few more for the rest of the season.
Does it seem easier or different than writing your stuff? Like, is it? Because I feel like those kind of songs are a little more like rhymey, simple-y kind of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's different. It's different for sure. It was a challenge in a whole other respect. You know, like hysterically, one of the things that I had to write for the show was like this pop. Like I had to write the pop song for the show that was like this dueling dance track between two like pop divas, which was very much not the Broadway thing. And so like I had to like, you know, listen to like Telephone by Lady Gaga and Beyonce like on repeat, and I was like, okay, how do I do this, you know? No, it was different. It was hard in its own right, but the songs came really fast. They came quickly, and then the production was like the fun part, was finding girls to sing these songs, and all that was really cool.
So did you then, when it like was on, then did you all gather around the TV to watch it like how we used to before we had DVRs and everything, or you saw it ahead of time? Or?
I didn't. I don't know where I was, but I mean, I ended up. I would see.
Did you DVR it at least?
I think so. Yeah. I you know, it was busy. It was a crazy sort of moment that I was in the middle of. But I mean, obviously, I watched everything. It was more like somebody would shoot me like my scene, and I'd be like, whoa, that was really cool, like, you know, because they spent like $1 million on these productions, right. You know, so it was like wild to see your song performed, one, by somebody else, and two, like with dancers and stuff.
Right. Yeah. We're thinking of getting dancers here today.
I thought they were going to do Cecilia with us. I thought it was going to be the thing, you know.
And speaking of Cecilia, so beautiful song written for your daughter, and I heard in an interview you missed her first steps. Is that true?
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think it was one of these deals where I was gone. It was the first time I left, like in her first, you know, 8-9 months or whatever, and like the first time she kind of did one of those. Of course, I was. It
doesn't count until you see it. That's what.
Yeah. Well, she didn't exactly take off after that. I think it was like 4 months later that she actually started walking. So I didn't feel too bad.
So you're good.
Yeah.
But there was just one other thing. I always like to look at people's Twitter feeds, and there was just something you wrote the other day. Recently on a U.S. air flight with ashtrays on it, and a mechanic was using a flip phone. So that must have been not feeling good to fly in that plane, right?
Yeah, the joke was that the flip phone confirmed that I had boarded a time machine. Yeah. Like, of course, like some angry person from the airline industry, like was like, there are ashtrays on lots of airplanes. I'm like, not in the seat, you know. But yeah, I travel so much, so it's like these are the things that entertain me, you know. Other than the fact that like the U.S. Airways American merger has like completely destroyed my travel schedule, like a dozen times in the last month. But so get it together, you guys. But
this segment brought to you by you. No.
Yeah, I know. I've got one coming up. I know they'll just delay it intentionally to mess with me. But yeah, these are the little things.
So you get to do that. You didn't used to really do much of that, right?
No,
social media. So now.
It's fun now, you know, and it's just like I'm addicted like everybody else. You know, I have to sort of convince myself like, okay, this is like the time where I put my phone over here and leave it out of the bedroom when I go into bed and stuff like that. Because I'm a junkie for all that kind of stuff.
And then Cecilia's steps because you're.
Yeah, I know, because I'm filming them and not actually seeing them.
Right.
Yeah. That's my favorite part of being at a concert is.
Right.
The filming the show instead of looking at the show, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, no, look here, it's amazing over this way. Yeah.
So this song, I'm a recent dad too, and so this song totally, like, when I heard it, it's just like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
get off the
Awesome.
and everything. But how long did it take to write this one? Was this an easy one, or this took a long time?
The bulk of it was pretty easy. I mean, we wrote it over the course of the day. Myself and this co-producer James Flanagan and one of his buddies, we sort of just hashed it out in a studio a couple weeks before she was born. Got through all the verses, and then the majority of the chorus. It was originally called "If I Could Fly." My manager reminded me there a Disney song is called "If I Could Fly," so I decided to dig a little deeper after that. And so yeah, I went home the next day. I wrote the pre-choruses, for all the things my hands have held. You know, I did all those and the little post. So all that came like the day or two after the main session, and then about 2 months later, Cecilia had been born, and I spent 2 days in a studio, like banging my head against the piano with James, who I wrote the song with, trying to figure out how to say, "Don't be afraid, Cecilia, I'm the satellite and you're the sky." And 48 hours later, we got that bit.
Beautiful. All
Yeah.
right, I think we're ready to hear it. Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, live from Studio M.
I locked myself in a hotel room, then waited all night for the walls to move. I've loved some girls that I barely knew. I made some friends and I lost some too. Crashed my car, I was 17. My mother in the seat right next to me. The things I've learned from a broken mirror, how a face can change when a heart knows fear. For all the things my eyes have seen, the best by far is you. If I could fly, then I would know what life looks like from up above and down below. I'd keep you safe, I'd keep you dry. Don't be afraid, Cecilia, I'm the satellite and you're the sky. Whoa, 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 whoa. I've cafe crawled through Amsterdam, been around the world with a punk rock band. And I've seen London and I played Japan. I've been knocked down, I got up again. For all the places I have been, I'm no place without you. If I could fly, then I would know what life looks like from up above and down below. I'd keep you safe, I'd keep you dry. Don't be afraid, Cecilia, I'm the satellite and you're the sky. Oh, and you're the sky. Oh, I'm the satellite and you're the sky. Oh. For all the things my hands have held, the best by far is you. If I could fly, then I would know what life looks like from up above and down below. I'd keep you safe, I'd keep you dry. Don't be afraid, Cecilia, I'm the satellite and you're the sky. Oh, and you're the sky. Oh, I'm the satellite. Oh, and you're the sky. Oh, and you're the sky.
and Elizabeth, thank you so much. This has been live.